This is Jim Harris and Yubing Shi looking at the outputs from the discussions with Simon Longhurst, with Julie Martin and Danielle Knight. What we have now is a diagram that describes the thought processes behind the application or the inclusion of the work-based learning option within the MSc Engineering as it currently stands, as well as how the incorporation of apprenticeships to the programme could potentially work. Through the discussions, the original idea was to redevelop the MSc so that it included an opportunity for apprenticeships, but also included a route for work-based learning. From the outputs of the discussion, we feel that actually to separate the two out would be more important, which means that you have the MSc, which does have international appeal opportunities if there is a work-based learning element to it, but not necessarily a B-Eng or M-Eng equivalent to make it linked to the IMEC-E. The idea of why a student may want to study that is based on whether or not they feel that they want to have that accreditation, but equally the original idea of moving that through to PhD. So, which isn't on the board, so I will write that in. The other alternative then is that we have the apprenticeships who are not doing the MSc the other students who are not doing the MSc would be coming through the B-Eng and the M-Eng. On the right-hand side of the screen, can you describe what we have over here, Yubing?
Yeah, we have the employers. They are happy, they are eager to send their employees to the university to through the apprentice scheme. And the apprentice have the different levels of math skills and engineering experience. Some have A-level math, some have GCSE, or some has informal mathematics. So in order to send all of them to the university for the studies through the apprentice scheme, we think the employer will go through the first evaluation of job specification against their current role, and the employer needs to have a math test so that they can ensure the apprenticeship, under the apprenticeship scheme, their employers who enter the university should fulfill some requirement for the math levels to enable them to continue with the university level study. So if they can't pass this test, it's the responsibility of the employer to give some upskill training for the employer to help them to achieve the levels. Even with all this support, the apprenticeship scheme and this scheme, the employees who enter the university, it will be a risk for them to consider move to the M-Eng or MSc level directly. It's more suitable for them to move to a B-Eng or BSc level at first. Only when they can successfully achieve the requirement for B-Eng or BSc, then they can consider to progress to M-Eng or MSc for the later stage of the study. This will be a more reasonable approach. So currently we think maybe consider apprentice schemes directly mapped to our MSc requirement is a bit risky. Yeah, that's what we consider. The university surely will provide some math support to help the student to pass and progress to the required levels. But this support, is useful, but may not be able to effectively address all the math requirement, because the improvement of math skill, to one hand, depends on the help available and what help we can offer from the learning development. Other aspect is the attitude of the student. Those students who are relatively weak in math, we can't just change their attitude easily within a very short period of time. So if we can't change this student, even if we have that math support available, they may not be so actively approaching the math support team. Yeah.
And equally, the £454 in math support is something that is government subsidised, but that does not give you the opportunity to shift someone from having GCSE maths to the appropriate A-level maths. Even though there are online support opportunities, the levelness of it could be an issue. The ability for the student to engage with it independently from the university would potentially be an issue. With the skills development, the new PAT framework, and the embedding of learning development opportunities, the 6-2-6 would work more appropriately for this. The 6 hours in the first year, 2 hours in the second year, 6 hours in the third year. Equally, the work readiness programme would be a key component of embedding that within the modules, so dedicated hours in each of the modules to provide opportunities for the hours of study would be absolutely crucial to this. One of the biggest things that we have taken into consideration is the potential issues around keeping the IMechE accreditation, and so the risk of whether or not we lower the math level of the maths entry test to a point at which we're allowing any students to come on even though they don't have the relevant support, and then to depend on the PAT system to bring the students up to speed is going to be a very high risk strategy for us. Overall, what this will mean is that we will propose that we need to revalidate the BEng in order to include apprenticeships. We would need to do it anyway, but the issue is the risk of, if we were to just revalidate the MSc, it may not give us the type of student numbers that we're expecting because the MSc is not IMechE accredited. So why would there be an incentive for an apprentice to get an uncertified or unrecognised qualification when there is the opportunity within the MEng for them to gain that? So the first step for us would be to see whether or not there is an acceptance and an agreement to look at a revalidation of the BEng to include everything we've detailed in the math support in order to satisfy the concerns of IMechE, but equally to give the opportunity for the apprentices to come in at the right level, and also to then be able to say that for the apprenticeships they may then wish to move on to the MEng, which could either be another stream or they could go on to the MSc if they felt the MEng was not appropriate for them. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing that we have here is just a series of questions. So how the two programs talk together would be a consideration in the mapping. Map the MEng as it is to the appropriate job description or the apprenticeship job description. The third, mapping the MEng to the MSc to make sure that there is transference between the two if someone were to come through as an apprentice in the BEng and then wish to switch to the MSc or the MEng. We've got the map the MEng to the job specification. I think that's a repeat. That is a repeat. These are all things that need to go into the business case and what the robust business case is for how this would be approached. The question was also raised about the student source, and we've got the risk assessing the entry standards of the students, as we've discussed. Are they coming in with the relevant support and needs, both in maths and English? How much support we're expecting to provide to them to make sure that we have committed the resources needed. The other one is which are the target market, the international, the self-funded, because there is that potential risk of leaching between one program to support another, and also the fact of just adding in work-based learning without considering how that will be run and delivered. These are all questions that we need to have answered and to have further discussions on.